This is the chapter 6 review videos. Excuse that typo. Okay. Solve each system by graphing. So this is one of our 3 methods that we had. We had graphing, substitution, and elimination. In this first section, you're going to be asked to do all 3 of these at different times, this being the graphing section. And then towards the end of the test, in the back half, there's a section where you get to choose any method you want. But for these first few, you have to solve them accordingly. Remember, this test is largely going to be, in fact, it's all going to be open answer. So you have to be able to do these. There's no multiple choice to lean on, okay? This first one's the one we really love to see because it's already got y solve for on both of them. Now, you can just graph this one by hand, okay? If you remember how to do that, you just put in the intercept and graph the slope. But you can also put this into the calculator, okay? Because they're both already solved for y. So we have these both put into the calculator. We press zoom 6 and we see our intersection point is at -1, 2, 3, 4, +1. I think that's it. I'm going to calculate it just to be safe. Enter, enter, enter. Yes, -4, 1. So I know that they're going to cross at -4, 1, okay? This equation, top one, has an intercept of 2, and it goes through that line because it goes down 4 over 1. Not really a good line. Let's try it again. There we go. Remember, this is my intersection point. My other one has an intercept at -3, okay? And it has a slope of just 1, 1, -1, 1. So it crosses about like that. Again, you can be much more specific. In fact, this line should really go through here. So you may want to plot a couple of points, but the general concept of where they intersect is achieved. Now, number 2 does not have y by itself like number 1 did. So before we get going, we have to solve these equations for y. So I have 2x minus y equals 1. I want to solve that for y. First, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Eliminate, get a -y equals -2x plus 1. Okay? Then I'm going to divide by -1, which essentially changes all of my signs. I get a +2x minus 1. Now, this could actually be done quicker by adding y to both sides and then subtracting 1, giving me a 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1. Okay, but I know a lot of you guys like to have y on the left, and that's okay. Okay, still get the same exact answer. So that's my first equation. My second equation, I need to solve this one for y. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I'm just trying to leave that y where it is, basically, and get everything else away from it. 2y equals -x plus 8. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Now, you can clean this right side up a little bit by making it y equals -1/2, because this is a -1 in front, x plus 4. But also know that you can just put this in. Okay, this ugly side right here all by itself, you can put that whole thing in the calculator and it's going to graph it for you. Okay, now I'm going to check this one with the calculator, but I want to graph it by hand just to show people, remind people how to do that. This first equation starts at -1, because that's the y-intercept. And this is a 2 over 1, which is rise over run, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Also means I can go down 2 over 1 and down 2 over 1. Okay? Now I'm going to eventually make that a full connected line, but first I want to plot some of these other points for my other equation so I can find their intersection. This is going to start at 4 and rise. I'm going to make this a -1 over 2 first. So I'm going to rise down 1 over 2. There's my intersection, down 1 over 2. I can go up 1 over 2 as well. So this is one of my lines. This is my other line. And I can see that they intersect at the point 2, 3. So my answer to this is 2, 3. And I really should have been more careful. My answer to this one over here, you need to make sure you write down somewhere, -4, 1. Make sure you've got that somewhere. Again, I told you, make sure also that your answers are very apparent. If I take a glance at this student's paper, my work, I immediately see, hey, there's his answer, -4, 1, and 2, 3. Okay? Number 3, please follow these directions carefully so that you don't waste time. I'm not going to count off if you do extra work on this problem, but you're going to waste your own time on this test. Okay, this says write the equations for the following situation. Later on, in the very end of the test, you have to actually solve some of these out. But this one is just writing the equations. Okay, James is selling tickets. First day, he sells 12 adult tickets, 6 child tickets for a total of $120. There's one of my equations. Okay, this tells me specifically to use A and C for adult and child. You need to be doing that on your own anyways. Okay, so 12 adult tickets plus 6 child tickets equals $120. Okay. The school took $44 on the second day. So this one kind of reversed the way it said it, but you should still be able to write it out. 6 adult tickets plus 1 child ticket equals $44. Okay. Now, again, do not waste your time if you don't need to. It doesn't say how much are adult and child tickets worth, anything like that. It just says write the following equations. So we are done with this problem. Number 4, don't make this one harder than it has to be. Okay, this is basically telling you, hey, this is the answer, or at least we think it is. Okay, this 0.6 comma 0, it's saying, hey, this is the intersection. But I want you to check that. This is also a good reminder on how you can check your work throughout this entire test. Any of you that get done with this test in the first 30, 45 minutes need to really go back and plug some of your answers in and check them, make sure they work. How do we do that? Well, this is an X value and this is my Y value, and I'm going to plug it into both equations, not just one, both equations, and make sure it works. Okay, so I'm going to split this problem down the middle. I'm going to put this equation over here, Y equals 2/3 X minus 4. I'm just going to leave this one right here where it is. Okay, oops, didn't even write it down right. 2/3 X minus 4. And I'm going to plug in my point. I'm going to plug in a 6 for X. So this becomes Y equals 2/3 X, which is 6, minus 4. And I know that my Y needs to equal 0. So really, what I'm essentially doing here is just seeing if this right side equals 0, seeing if I get a true statement. Well, that's all calculator work on that. Alpha Y equals enter, 2/3. If you can do that in your head, that's fine. 2/3 times X, okay? And then minus 4. I really should put this 6 in parentheses just so it looks exactly like mine. Okay, it's going to end up being the same thing, but that's a little more visually appealing. Okay, and it does. It equals 0. So my right side equals 0. My left side equals 0. That one is good. The second one, I plug in a 6 for my X and a 0 for my Y. So I have 2 times 6 plus 4 times 0 equals 12. 4 times 0 is just 0, so that cancels out. 2 times 6 is 12, so I get 12 equals 12. So that one works. In other words, if I were to take these two equations and do one of my 3 methods on them, I would, in fact, get 6 comma 0. If even one of my equations doesn't work, then the whole thing doesn't work. Number 5 says find the X value. So every point, every solution has an XY value, and we just want this one here, okay? So the best way to do this is to actually eliminate the Y's first. That way it leaves us with just X's. But if you eliminate the X's instead, because that's easier to eliminate, that's going to still be fine. But I'm going to do it the shortest way by eliminating the Y's. To eliminate the Y's, I need to multiply by 5 there and by 3 there. I'm doing this as an elimination problem. You can do it with any method. Okay, I'm doing it with elimination because they're already stacked on top of each other in standard form. It looks like an elimination problem to me. 5x minus 15y equals 75. 9x plus 15y equals negative 33. When I add these together, my y's cancel. Okay, I get a 14x equals. Careful here. Okay, if you're ever not sure, just throw that in your calculator just to be safe. It's going to be a positive 42. Double check that. 75 plus a negative 33 is 42. I'm going to divide by 14, and x equals 3. Again, if you did this problem by eliminating the x's, you'll get a y equals down here. That's not wrong, that's fine, but then you have to just take that y equals number and plug it back up into one of your original equations. Okay? So I went ahead and just knew to find the x, I wanted to eliminate the y's, and I've done it. That would be my answer. X equals 3.